Good day, class. Welcome to this module that discusses regional economic integration. After studying the chapter, you should be able to do the following. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, also called the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, was a US-led and proposed trade agreement between Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. So these are the countries in yellow, as you can see in the map. This partnership removes up to 99% of tariffs on goods and services. It also prohibited the trade of endangered wildlife. The TPP was also the first regional deal to include comprehensive rules on digital commerce. So this ensured the free flow of digital information across borders. The TPP is an example of regional economic integration. It is an association of nations with the vision of promoting prosperity in the region. Regional economic integration can best be defined as an agreement between groups of countries in a geographic region to reduce and ultimately remove tariffs and trade barriers for the free flow of goods and services. So countries agree to eliminate economic barriers with the end goal of enhancing trade and social development. What is regional economic integration? Regional integration will involve implementation of economic and political steps to increase global competitiveness, including preferential access to trade opportunities. Now, in regional integration, states must consider spatial transformation. To do this, conducting spatial research and spatial mapping is required, which is identifying areas where development is concentrated and areas that needs development. So this is getting a big picture of what regions will be needing in terms of economic support. Now the word spatial refers to space. So we are studying the space in our country. We are identifying the areas that needs access to development. To simplify spatial transformation, we can take the use of economic maps such as this one to identify areas that needs improvement. This GDP map, for example, shows where wealth is concentrated in the ASEAN region. So red means high GDP per capita. Dark blue is low GDP per capita. Now, GDP per capita, just a reminder, is the GDP divided by the population of a country. Our country is in blue. So we are in the lowest GDP per capita region. And despite being the fastest growing economy of the region, that is prior to the pandemic, even surpassing Singapore, no, at times. Perhaps we should wonder why our GDP per capita is so low, even with the high performance of our GDP. So we have a very high GDP growth rate, but GDP per capita is low. Okay? A localized spatial research should be conducted by using maps like this to find out where development is concentrated and what areas are left behind. What are the stages of regional integration? What levels do countries go through before achieving economic integration? The stages of regional integration begins with defining a free trade area, formation of an area in which two or more countries agree to eliminate barriers to trade, such as tariffs, quotas, and non-tariff barriers must be identified. Next is forming custom unions. This means all free trade member countries would have to adopt a common external tariff. So import tariffs will be the same in all state members, so they won't be competing with each other in the world market. Common market. Members remove all barriers to allow the movement of capital and labor within the custom union. This is forming standard policies on quality of products and raw materials, and common standards on education, employment, and professions. Putting up similar standards will broaden the market of each member country, since foreign investors will find few or little differences between the markets of the member countries. Next, economic and monetary union, which is the creation of a single regional currency and the main regional central bank. Now, it is important to know that not all integration will mature into this stage. Only the European Union has reached this agreement, in fact, of using one monetary standard. The complexity of the formation prohibits most trade blocs from following their footsteps. And finally, political unions. This is when member countries arrive at a common defense, security, and foreign policy, behaving like a single country. So alliances are made and strengthened at this stage. This is a summary of the progress experienced in the stages, and you see how the affirmative conditions are gradually met in every stage. What are the advantages and disadvantages of regional integration? The following are the benefits of regional integration: creating a larger pool of consumers with growing income and similar culture, tastes, and social values. This means businesses can take advantage of a bigger market, so international trade and international marketing opportunities is enhanced. Encouraging economics of scale in production, increasing the region's level of global competitiveness, and enhancing economic growth through investment flows. So the bigger the market, the better the opportunities. This encourages economies of scale. Now, what does this mean? Businesses are motivated to take advantage of the efficiency brought about by growth, by being big, by expanding. Since they are serving a bigger market, they are motivated to mass produce and take advantage of lower costs due to expansion. Freeing the flow of capital, labor, and technology to the most productive areas in the region. Internal flow of raw materials and manpower is easier. This is due to the stage of having a common market. Increasing cooperation, peace, and security among countries in the region. Integration will also form defense alliances and peace and security policies. Of course, having peace in the region will bring more economic stability. And it encourages member states to enhance their social welfare to match that of the most progressive states, meaning integration can lift the standard of living of member states to be comparable to that of highly industrialized nations. What are the disadvantages of regional integration? First, it undermines or rejects the most favored nation status rule of the World Trade Organization. Now, let me explain with the following slide. The most favored principle rule requires treating other nations equally under the World Trade Organization agreements. So countries cannot discriminate trading partners. A most favored nation, or MFN, clause requires a country to provide any concession, privilege, or immunities granted to one nation in a trade agreement to all other World Trade Organization member countries. So, for example, when the Philippines grants Singapore a special favor such as a lower customs duty for any of their products coming into the country, then the Philippines have to do the same for all other countries that are members of the World Trade Organization. That is the most favored nation principle. So any concession given to a country, to any country, should apply to all other member countries. Let us continue. Imposing uniform laws and regulations that at times do not take into account national, economic, cultural, and social differences. The rules under integration are sweeping without taking into account the country's economic and political situation, and without considering the effect on its culture, norms, and way of life. Eliminating jobs and increasing unemployment in protected industries. This means local industries will be exposed to greater competition from other regions. Losing sovereignty, national independence, and identity. Because the countries will behave like one nation in many aspects, the mix of culture and the blurring of national borders will be a side effect of integration. Culture will easily evolve because of influence from other regions. Reducing the powers of the national government. This is related to the above mentioned losing of sovereignty, imposing uniform laws. This means countries cannot independently make economic policies. So countries cannot just devaluate their currency, for example, or impose certain tariffs without consultation in the Association of Member States. Increasing the problems of illegal drugs and terrorism due to the ease of cross-border labor movement. The ease of entry will increase the activity of illegal traffickers. Criminals can take advantage of lenient border restrictions. There is the danger of radical ideas easily infiltrating societies.